We are the reformers. Reform ends if we leave. Not just for us, but also our friends in Europe who want our voice heard in Europe. I am a very instinctive conservative. I have created a welfare system where it pays to work. I have created independent schools within the state sector, bringing excellence to children wherever they are. We will say to people that if you can work, and if you want to work, we will do everything we can to help you. We will give you the training. We will give you the support. We will give you the advice to get you going and get you back at work. The best route out of poverty to avoid food bank usage is to make sure more people get a job. If we are going to try to get across to the poorest people in the world that we care about their plight and we want them to join one world with the rest of us, we have got to make promises and keep promises. For me, there is no greater sunshine in politics or in life than to have a job, security for your family, a good school place where you know your child is going, and the sense that if I put in, there will be a decent, secure retirement at the end of it all. At a time when we're having to take such difficult decisions about how to cut back, without damaging the things that matter the most, we should strain every sinew to cut error, waste, and fraud. But we will say something else. That for far too long in this country, people who can work, people who are able to work, and people who choose not to work. You cannot go on claiming welfare like you are now. If you can work and if you're offered a job and you don't take it, you cannot continue to claim benefits. It will be extremely tough. It is vital that we get these policies right as we take forward our plans to drive down the deficit and transform our economy. As PM, you have got to do everything from chairing the cabinet to ceremonial things. You have also got to do the nitty-gritty. I do get stuck into the detail. We spend billions of pounds on welfare, yet millions are trapped on welfare. It's not worth it while going into work. You do not have to be an economist to know that putting up the cost of employing someone is a pretty barking thing to do when you're trying to get out of a recession. The economy is the start and end of everything. You can't have successful education reform or any other reform if you don't have a strong economy. More of the same will just produce more of the same, less competitiveness, less growth, fewer jobs. I am not a British isolationist. I don't just want a better deal for Britain. I want a better deal for Europe too. The biggest danger to the European Union comes not from those who advocate change, but from those who denounce new thinking as heresy. In its long history, Europe has experience of heretics who turned out to have a point. There is a growing frustration that the EU is seen as something that is done to people rather than acting on their behalf. And this is being intensified by the very solutions required to resolve the economic problems. I believe that in life, you have to give things your best shot. Do your best. You have to focus on what needs to be done. Do the right thing, not the popular thing. When you're taking the country through difficult times and difficult decisions, you've got to take the country with you. That means permanently trying to make the argument that what you're doing is fair and seen to be fair. I don't just want a better deal for Britain. I want a better deal for Europe too. So I speak as British Prime Minister with a positive vision for the future of the European Union. A future in which Britain wants, and should want, to play a committed and active part. Whether you either passionately think we should stay in, or on balance think we should stay in, or on a balance of risks think we should stay in, for heaven's sake get out and vote in, because you might wake up and find out you're out. My view is, the most important thing as Prime Minister is trying to make the right judgments. In order to make good judgments, you need good advice. You need good principles. And you need a clear head. And you need to have a sense of equilibrium. After the Berlin Wall came down, I visited that city and I will never forget it. The abandoned checkpoints. The sense of excitement about the future. The knowledge that a great continent was coming together. Healing those wounds of our history is the central story of the European Union. What we're putting forward is the most radical reform of the welfare state. For 60 years. I think it will have a transformative effect in making sure that everyone is better off in work. And better off working rather than on benefits. I want completing the single market to be our driving mission. I want us to be at the forefront of transformative trade deals with the US, Japan, and India as part of the drive towards global free trade. And I want us to be pushing to exempt Europe's smallest entrepreneurial companies from more EU directives. The EU must be able to act with the speed and flexibility of a network, not the cumbersome rigidity of a bloc. We must not be weighed down by an insistence on a one-size-fits-all approach, which implies that all countries want the same level of integration. The fact is that they don't, and we shouldn't assert that they do. For me, and I suspect for lots of other people too, bad things actually sometimes make you think more about faith. And the fact that you're not facing these things on your own. On the one hand, we have got to ask, are there some areas of universal benefits that are no longer affordable? But on the other hand, let us look at the issue of dependency, where we have trapped people in poverty through the extent of welfare that they have. I know the British people, and they are not passengers, they are drivers. As far as I am concerned, this referendum should settle the matter. I believe it will one way or another be decisive. Britain will not want to go through this again. On the other hand, if we vote to leave, this really is irreversible. Because with courage and conviction, I believe we can deliver a more flexible, adaptable, and open European Union in which the interests and ambitions of all its members can be met. I know the British people, and they are not passengers, they are drivers. If we left the European Union, it would be a one-way ticket, not a return. So, we will have time for a proper, reasoned debate. At the end of that debate, the British people, will decide. I think us leaving would have an enormous and bad effect on the rest of the EU. The EU would respond by deepening integration and becoming more of a political project. It would not only be damaging ourselves, but also the kind of Europe we want.